Well, the Rebels got their first win over the Tars, and surprisingly, 29 points to 10 does not do that performance justice. Either the deck was really slippery, like Matt Tamua and I think some of the other players mentioned, that led to a few errors. Maybe the Tars' defense is better, or maybe the Rebels' attack probably wasn't quite what it should have been. But 29 points to 10, if you've seen the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'll read you the stats at the end. It is about as one-sided as a game gets. And yeah, it's only a 19-point difference. I say only 19. It could have been 29, 39, maybe more, honestly. The lead did change, surprisingly, 4 times before the Rebels just got out in front. There wasn't a lot of points scored in the second half. It was mostly the first half. Tamua, I think, really stepped up a level this week. The Rebels generally did, I think, overall, even though they'll probably be ruining some lack of execution in terms of being able to score 2 tries. This definitely should have been a bonus point try winning match, but not to be. Tamua started with a line break. The Rebels went close. The TMO had a look, but they found there was a knock-on in the build-up for the Rebels, but it was ominous signs early if you're a Tars fan. The Rebels, though, had advantage, so they kicked the first penalty, 3-0. The Waratahs, though, got the first try of the match through Newsom. It was an intercept. I don't know that the Waratahs in this match really had many chances in the Rebels 22 where they looked like genuinely scoring. But with the Rebels trying to exit their own half, ball in hand, Reece Hodge, quick pass through, but Newsom reads it and he runs over for a try. Really good defensive read. He had to make a call. He made it. And a good conversion kick, so 7 points to 3. Waratahs are in front. My Super Brew pick at that point is looking alright. However, it got pretty worse. Got worse soon. The Rebels kicked the penalty on 10 minutes, 7-6. At that point, the Waratahs about 3 minutes later get a warning. Too many offsides, too many penalties. And this was definitely a story of the day as well. The Rebels then go in front because it was a penalty that was given away that caused that warning. So it's 9 points to 7. And then the Waratahs kick a penalty of their own. 22 minutes to make it, back in front for the Tars. So the Rebels have been in front, the Tars have been in front, the Rebels have been in front, Tars go back in front. So I mean, with the lead changes. However, on half an hour, Michael Hooper gets yellow carded. What did he do? Sure enough, he was offside after the ref had said too many offside penalties, and they kick a penalty. So it's 12 points to 10 to the Rebels. And then just before halftime, like 38 minutes, from a really messy scrum that just kind of disintegrates, Lauren's the scrum half. He gets the ball. He powers over. He's got at least one guy supporting him. They go through about 2 Tars players. He goes over for a try. So it's 19 points to 10 at halftime. And the Rebels have managed to pile on 10 points during the yellow card period, which is pretty good. That's kind of what you want. Now, you'll notice I said that it was 19 points to 10 at halftime, and that the Tars scored their penalty on about 22 minutes. They still finished with 10 points, despite having 10 points on about 22 minutes. So the scoring does not continue. The second half scoring for the Rebels does not continue for a long time, but for the halftime stats, Rebels have got 65% possession, 66% territory. They've had 206 run meters to 87. They've had a higher tackling rate with 92% to 89, even though 89 is pretty respectable. They've only made 34 to the Tars 68 because obviously they've got all the ball. Now you're thinking 65% possession, 66% territory. Maybe that'll even out a bit in the second half. It gets worse. It gets worse for the Tars. That's their good half. I'm really, honestly, pretty gutted for the Tars because pre-COVID, they were bad, but they were young, new coach. Post-COVID, they weren't exactly a finished product, but they at least seemed to be on the improve. This game just seemed to be all at sea. whereas the Rebels seem to have lifted. Dana Helipeti did go off at halftime. I think he got a knock on his knee, so he said after the post-match, at the post-match, that he'll have to wait and see what the scans find out. But anyway, second half, not a lot goes on in the first kind of 20 minutes. Like, Ram for the Waratahs has a good run, which is a rare one in the second half for the Tars, but he gets turned over by Ulysses pretty much straight away. Ulysses himself gets injured. I hope he's all right, because he's had such a bad run of injuries in his career. On about the hour mark, the Rebels go 20-odd phases. And Korobidi gets a ball, which is a pretty bad pass. I think it's above his head. But seemingly from nothing, he tries to create something, which he almost does, but his offload to the winger goes forward. So, yeah, it's another missed opportunity for the Rebels. 63 minutes, the Tars get warned again for a yellow card. Because, again, too many penalties. I think at that time it was like 6 in a row. And Tamua has a shot at... Tamua has a shot at a try, but he's just short. And then 67 minutes, Rebels. I think Deegan takes a shot at goal and he misses it. So they miss a penalty. And to be honest, at 19 points to 10, with the Rebels just camped in the Waratahs half, I was thinking, mentally, this has got to be taking its toll on the Rebels, guys. Honestly, if you can't score, having this much ball, this much territory, you could be in trouble. If the Tars can get another intercept, that might be the kind of straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of your mentality. But to their credit, they kept at it. Eventually, it paid off. So after that missed penalty, 2 minutes later, the Waratahs give away another penalty. It's Holloway. He gets yellow carded. And then Tamua kicks a penalty to make it 22-10, which is a bit more breathing space. And then on 78 minutes, finally, and it's individual brilliance that has to break the Waratahs down, which also makes me worry a bit about the Rebels' attack, because all that dominance and they couldn't convert nothing. Korovidi's individual brilliance, back of a ruck, he sees nobody's, in the defensive area on the other side of the ruck. He just runs straight through. He hands off, I think it was Newsom, and yeah, he scores a try into the sticks. Really good heads-up play. Good opportunity to take the line and good fend to beat the defender. 29 points to 10. And 20 of those points for the Rebels were obtained when the Tars had a man down. Which is, again, a bit disappointing that they've got all this dominance and they can't really score points. They kicked a ton of penalties, but yeah. So 29 points to 10, that's the way it finishes. Final stats. So run meters, 469 to the Rebels, 149 to the Tars. I'm surprised the Tars had that many. Possession ends up 71% to the Rebels, 75% territory to the Rebels. In the second half, the Rebels had 82% territory, so 18% to the Tars. That is ridiculous at this level that it's so one-sided. 77 Rebels had 77% territory in the second half. Mind-blowing. Good for the Rebels. Their tackling was at 91%, so they maintained a 90-plus percentage, but they only had to make 58. Not like they had to make a lot of tackles. They should have been pretty fresh. The Tars dropped to 80, but remember they had to make 126, so they're probably getting a bit tired, and they spent 20 minutes of the game with one less guy on the field. Knock-ons, 8-5. Rebels had more, which makes sense because they had more ball, but five knock-ons when you've got 29% territory for the Tars is terrible when the Rebels only had 8. So, yeah. Penalties conceded, 17 by the Waratahs, 8 by the Rebels. Goodness me. Individual brilliance, like I mentioned, Korobidi, 62 run meters, 8 defenders beaten. Harry Johnson-Holmes for the Tars tackled well, 14 out of 16. But yeah, Tamua mentioned it was slippery, so maybe that put paid to some of the chances that they might have been able to otherwise create. But I honestly think if you've got 71% possession and 75% territory, facing a team which is tackling at 80% and has spent 20 minutes with a man in the bin, you should be winning that game by more, and you shouldn't be having to wait till 65, 70 plus minutes to be able to put it beyond doubt. So, I mean, still, good congratulations to the Rebels. It's an away win, but it's dominant, but man, they'll have to be sharper than that, surely, if they're going to go anywhere in the comp. It does put them even with the Tars, I think, on points. They're still behind the Brumbies, who are on 9. That'll put the Rebels on 6, and the Reds are on 10. So it puts them back in the game. The Waratahs, it seems to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Rob Penny. So we'll see what he can do if he can sort out the team. Anyway, it is 11:11, so it is time for me to go to bed. Rugby is on tomorrow as well. 2 games on Saturday, so we look forward to those. You guys let me know your thoughts on this one. It was definitely not a classic. It was a bit of a tit-for-tat battle with the Rebels just really sucking the life out of the Waratahs, but not able to really put them to bed until, right before full time. So positives and negatives to take from it. It's a big win, solid win, but a bit concerning they couldn't take their opportunities. And for the Tars, maybe you look on the bright side, they held out for long periods under the pump. But also concerning, after 20-odd minutes, they couldn't score any points, couldn't get out of their own half. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.